I'm going to be making croissant from scratch today. I haven't made croissant since my college days, and I'm going to be using the same recipe that I hand written up on a 3x5 index card back when I was in college. I've taken out 1/4 cup, which is about 34 grams of my flour. I'm going to put that in a bowl and then put my butter in there. And then using a pastry cutter, I'm going to cut these two together until they're well blended and I have a paste. I'm just finishing this off with a rubber spatula, kind of smearing this into the bottom of the bowl and turning it to make sure that I have a nice smooth paste there. I put my butter on a sheet of parchment paper here. I'm going to put a second sheet on top, and just to be precise, I drew a line on this in pencil, and with the pencil line up so that I don't get any graphite into my butter, I'm going to smear this so that I have a 10-inch by 4-inch rectangle, and I actually have a roller here that I can use to really get this precise. Make sure that that's nicely smoothed out. Okay, so there's my butter. Again, that's 10 inches by 4 inches, which is 25 centimeters by 10 centimeters, and then I have to chill this in the refrigerator for about 1 hour. I'm going to be heating my milk and my water. That's the 3/4 of a cup of milk and my water to about 110 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 43 to 46 degrees centigrade. So there I am at about 113 degrees. That's fine. I'm going to sprinkle my yeast over the top and then sprinkle some of my sugar over it and let that sink in, and that'll activate the yeast. I'm going to put about 1 cup of my flour in my bowl with the rest of my sugar and my yeast and milk mixture. And I want to combine all this. And now I can start working in the rest of my flour. So I'm going to add about half my flour there. You could do this in a stand mixer, which I will probably do, because at some point this is going to become too stiff to work with a spatula. I've set up my stand mixer with a dough hook, and I'm going to start working in my flour. I have the remainder of my flour here. If I have to add more flour, I will. I might not even use all of this. It depends upon what the consistency of my dough is. I'm going to knead this rather slowly on the number of 2 setting here. I've been kneading my dough here now for about 3 to 4 minutes. All right, so now there's my dough. It's nice and pliable. It's slightly moist. Now I need to shape my dough into a 12-inch square. Once again, I drew lines onto a piece of parchment paper. I'll turn that over so I don't get graphite on my dough. I'm going to dust that lightly with flour. And then start shaping my dough here. I'm going to work this by hand first. Okay. And then let me see if I can shape these sides a little bit better just by stretching my dough and getting it to my corners. There I go, once again using my hands. It doesn't have to be really pretty at this point. Okay, I think that's a good enough start. And then I took my butter out of the refrigerator now. This has had an opportunity to chill. And I'm going to put that in the center of my dough. I'm going to fold my dough over and then roll this back out again to a 12-inch square. And I'm going to do that 3 more times. So to do that, I'm going to dust this with flour and then start rolling my dough out this way. If the butter starts to bead through, it did right there, you can just pinch your dough together and seal that in, and that should hopefully help. So there's my dough. I've rolled this a total, folded and rolled a total of 4 times. So now what I'm going to do is lift this up and then place it on a sheet of parchment paper. Then I'm going to cover this with plastic and place this in the refrigerator for a total of 2 hours. To make my egg wash, I broke my 2 eggs into a measuring cup. I'm going to put in that 1 tablespoon of milk. Simple enough. There's my egg wash. My dough has been in the refrigerator now for just over 2 hours. So I'm going to take out about 1/3 of this. It's amazing how useful a plastic knife can be. And then I'm going to start working with this. And meanwhile, put this back in the refrigerator and keep this chilled while I'm working with smaller pieces. I'm going to flour this lightly and then kind of press it down. I need to shape this into roughly a 12-inch circle. So once again, Mr. Woodshop guy, I have a circle drawn. Okay, I've got this rolled into a 12-inch circle. Now, depending on how big you want your croissant to be, you can cut this into 8 pieces, or you can cut this into 6 pieces. I'm going to make some small ones, so I'm going to do this in 8 pieces first. And then with my pastry brush, I'm going to brush a little bit of egg onto these points, like so, and then start rolling. And then just kind of shape it into a little bit of an arc. And there's the croissant. I'm going to do a close-up of this. So again, my point is coated with egg there. And just start rolling up your dough. And use that egg to hold that point in place. And then set it with the point on the underside. And then shape this into an arc. Before I get to my larger croissant, I want to just brush these with egg wash. This will help them to have a nice brown color because I used milk, actually half and half, in the egg wash rather than water. The higher fat content will give me a little bit richer browning. Another way to cut these, since it's shaped round like a pizza, is use a pizza cutter. So I want to do these in 6 pieces, like so. And this will make a larger croissant. Again, I have a baking sheet prepped with parchment paper. And then roll this onto itself. And then with the point on the bottom, turn it around. And there's another croissant. I have to let these rise for 30 minutes. And then I'm going to heat my oven up to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 190 degrees centigrade. And I'm going to bake these for 12 to 15 minutes until they are nicely browned and are done all the way through. So, how do they look coming out of the oven? There are my croissants. Those are the smaller ones, where I cut 8 to a circle. And then over here, these over here are the larger ones. All right, so my last step now is to let these cool for a little bit and then break them open to see how flaky they are inside and then see how good they taste. So there they are. I want to break one of these open and see what it looks like on the inside. Beautiful, flaky. That is just stunning. So there's the one that I broke open, nice and flaky inside. Very tender. A little light on the salt. But other than that, fantastic. So there they are, croissant. Excuse me, I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my croissant.